Jeopardy's ambitious new executive producer has announced that he's pushing for the iconic game show to ditch one of its cardinal rules. EP Michael Davies, joined by producer Sarah Whitcomb-Foss and some familiar faces, dropped his grand plans at a live event on Friday attended by the U.S. Sunday. Davies took over for the disgraced Mike Richards as the man in charge of Jeopardy! In 2021. He hasn't been short on changes since, and his new idea would make it so there's even less fresh blood on the game show. At Inside Jeopardy! Live on tour at the Edge in Hudson Yards, New York City, Foss first announced a change that will be happening. Contestants who competed in youth events will get to re-enter the regular contestant pool as adults. For the first time ever, if you competed in Kids Week, Teen Tournament, or College Jeopardy, you are going to get to come back and play the syndicated show and see if you can make a run at things and a long streak. So we're really excited by this new announcement, Foss said. Then came Davies, saying he wanted to bend the eligibility rules even further and let any past players, including huge champions, re-audition for the nightly show after 10 years. Aggressive proposal. I had a slightly more aggressive proposal, Davies interjected. I wanted a 10-year rule that applies on a lot of other game shows that anybody, once it's 10 years have passed that you've been on, you can apply again and get on. We'll see if I can get it past Sarah or our colleagues at Sony, he added, to which producer Foss clarified, not yet. Davies explained, I want to see the very best Jeopardy! Players on that stage, whether or not they've played once. He expressed distaste with the tradition where a player can only compete once in non-tournament play, likening it to retiring LeBron James after one season. There's no reason we shouldn't have the best players playing this game, he added. The boss assured the nervous audience, we also want to discover new people. We want rookies, but we want to see the best players play. Not necessary. Redditors caught wind of the concept and argued that it was an overreach, hoping it would not get enacted as regular Jeopardy! Works as is. I think giving the teen/college kids a shot at the regular show makes sense, but folks who have already had their shot. Dunno, seems repetitive, one fan wrote. I agree with you, it probably isn't necessary. The Price is Right added the 10-year eligibility rule because they were beginning to have difficulty finding enough eligible contestants, but Jeopardy doesn't have that issue and probably never will, wrote another. I do not want anyone other than maybe former kid and teen tournament contestants coming back into regular Jeopardy, agreed a third. There's a time and place for multiple former contestants to compete against one another, and it's the TOC or second chance. And frankly, I would be pissed to spend years to finally get my shot at Jeopardy and have to compete against a Roger Craig or Julia Collins. A fourth wrote, it's not a level playing field to go up against people with experience, and it's short-sighted because it's going to cut players down who could potentially have been super champions in their own right if they were playing under the same competition rules as the people they want to bring back. And one more added, I honestly don't support that. Like, nothing against players like Austin, Julia, Larissa, and any of them, but they've already had their chances. I way prefer 2 new contestants and maybe having to occasionally invite one back due to a disadvantage. Honestly, I'm sick of Michael Davies' shenanigans. Jeopardy was perfectly fine. While yes, I've been supportive of the second chance and champions wildcard, I don't like how he is playing with the format of everything. Masters gets its last player. That wasn't the only announcement made at the live event that fans were not sold on. The showrunners also announced their mysterious producer's pick for Masters 2024 would be Amy Schneider. Amy will compete against Season 1 champion James Holzhauer, returning contestants Matt Amadio and Mattea Roach, and newcomers Yogesh Raut and Victoria Gross. The 6 current highest-ranked Jeopardy! Contestants will play in the primetime tournament, facing off in 2 games per hour-long episode, starting on May 1, 2024 in ABC primetime. Davies joked, I have to prepare myself for the Redditors, before announcing, so firstly, it's a producer pick, but it's not just me. It's all the producers, mentioning ABC and Sony. We have to acknowledge there were several worthy people. But one person stood above everybody else. I've got to believe they can go on that stage in Masters and beat everybody, he added. Secondly, we're a TV program. "We depend on ratings," he admitted, saying Amy's following was a factor. Amy placed bottom 3 in last year's Masters, knocking her out of this year's event. She also decisively lost to Victoria Gross in the recent JIT, which launched Victoria to Masters and, in many minds, meant Amy wouldn't compete. How do you have a tournament that eliminates people from Masters but still pick them? One fan reacted to the news. "For the record, as a big Amy fan, I'm not a massive fan of this pick. It's kind of a predictable choice and I just don't know if her gameplay will hold up against the other 5, wrote another. "So then what was the point of the JIT?" asked a third. Matt, Matea and Ken take the stage. Meanwhile, the event also featured winning guest appearances from upcoming Masters Matea and Matt Amadio. Matea shared that last year's Masters players developed a great bond, and they are excited to meet Victoria and Yogesh. Ken Jennings was the last guest on the live podcast taping and show event, which is going to tour nationally, and he scored a standing ovation. EP Davies said that Ken won the job of hosting, and he makes something so difficult look easy. Ken answered various fan questions, including the hardest part of hosting, which he said was Final Jeopardy, and said hosting Masters instead of competing is great because I can enjoy these high-pressure situations stress-free.